2020. Hard to believe. It's a whole new decade. That doesn't happen often. Well, I'm ready to go. Ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Thursday, January 2nd, 2020. My name's Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. It's weird to say 2020. We've been saying 2020 for, I don't know, a while, but it's here. Feels odd. Almost like I don't believe that it actually is. Because it wasn't that long ago when we talked about 2020, we would have imagined, flying cars, crazy, futuristic world. And I guess we've got some of that stuff going on, but for the most part, things haven't changed that much. I hope if you did something on New Year's Eve, you enjoyed it, and it was safe and fun, and you had a great New Year's Day. I was in Burlington, there were some events, and just enjoyed being out and about, and celebrated the new year by going, oh, it's 12:01. There wasn't a ball, there were no fireworks where I was, and that's okay. I had a nice night. Yesterday, I did very little, but it was great. Went out to breakfast, did some work around the house, did some work, went to the gym, and now I'm ready to do more work. I did have some pretty solid epiphanies around the way we handle clothing and the way I spend my time. So I'm looking forward to putting some guidelines in place for myself to make this year more productive, more efficient, more profitable. And if I get things that I have to get done today done, I can work on those this afternoon. I might be coming down with something. I'm not thrilled about that. We'll see. Well, what's going on today? Got a couple podcast episodes we're recording. First one is guest for Martial Arts Radio. Ooh. I'll be recording one. Good morning, Stacy. Stacy says, and yay for efficient and profitable, don't forget enjoyable. Well, I rarely have a hard time remembering the enjoyable part. That part I'm pretty good at. This afternoon I'll be recording with Sensei Jared Wilson of Martial Thoughts to talk about the book, to talk about the Martial Artist's Handbook. So it's been a while since I've been on somebody else's show, so that'll be fun. Going to lunch with my mom. And then just work in between, all that stuff. So, yeah. I hope whatever you did on New Year's, if that's even important to you, hope it was good. A lot of people didn't do anything. In fact, I'm finding fewer and fewer people care about staying up until midnight. I don't know why that is. I'll be honest, I typically don't make it until midnight. Oh, that's good coffee. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm guessing everyone's just kind of coming to the realization that it's completely arbitrary. This line that we draw for day and everything. Gabe says he left a review for the book on Amazon. Thank you, Gabe. I think you're the first one. It's the first one I know of. Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like I'm rambling, so let's do the question thing. remember, if you want to ask a question, drop it below. Answer it tomorrow. Remember, that's my goal for this show for 2020 is that more people ask questions. What do you know about the martial art Muay Thai? Not a ton. A little bit. Muay Thai translates as 8 limbs because it's hands and feet, but also elbows and knees. It's brutal. At one point, I think I'd read the typical career for Muay Thai fighters 2 years, which blew my mind, and then I realized that they fight far more frequently than fighters in other combat sports. Many of them are fighting weekly. Weekly. Full contact. Oh, brutal. But it's cool. It's a cool martial art. I like a lot of the principles of, just the idea of getting tougher. What's that old Van Damme movie? Is it Kickboxer, where he's kicking the coconut tree with his shin? Gabe says, doesn't Muay Thai use their head? I don't know if they headbutt in Muay Thai. Wouldn't surprise me. The only Muay Thai fighting I've ever seen has been in movies, so I'm not sure how accurate it is. I've read a bunch about it. I don't think we have an episode about it. Maybe we do. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't remember if we did an episode of Muay Thai. It's Thursday. Do we have an episode today? We're supposed to. Let's find out. Yes. We'll talk about that in a moment. So, what else do I know about Muay Thai? I don't know that I'd want to train in it, because in order to train in it, traditionally, from my understanding, from people who've been to Thailand and everything, it's really difficult. It's really hard. And that doesn't scare me. But, well, the idea of going to Thailand and doing some Muay Thai does kind of appeal to me. I just don't want to get in a ring. I don't want to get punched in the face. That doesn't interest me at all. I think if somebody has the opportunity to train in Muay Thai, you should consider it. I think a lot of what they do has some pretty good application for self-defense and for, we'll say, full contact. The leg kicks, the guard, the elbow to knee guard, I find very intriguing. And the use of knees and elbows. I think it's a neat martial art. All right, so we do have an episode. This was one that I had a little bit of a hard time putting together. It's called Living a Martial Arts Lifestyle. Early on in the show, I spent a lot of time talking about what is a martial art, who is a martial artist, and kind of working through my own personal definitions of them. But one of Whistlekick's goals is to support those living a martial arts lifestyle. And I realized I hadn't really talked about what that was. And when I sat down to do it, I realized this is harder to define than I thought it would be. But I stumbled through it, and I think it came out okay. And that's the episode that's out today, is Living a Martial Arts Lifestyle. And it's on YouTube and everywhere else, so you can find it. Next question. What advice would you give someone who hasn't trained in a while but will begin training again soon? Try not to compare your training now to your training then. The longer it's been between, let's say I trained as a teenager and stopped training for 20, 25 years. Your memory of how good you are, or were rather, is going to be way off. You're going to think you were far better than you were. You're going to forget how hard things were. You're going to forget the challenges. You're going to forget where you struggled. And you're going to get, a lot of people get a month into class, training again, and think, man, this is harder than I remember. It's coming back slower than I wanted it to. I'm not very good. And they get really down on themselves. I see this happen. Try to forget you trained before. If there are things that come a little bit easier because you had done them in the past, cool. But pretend that there isn't any martial arts in that brain anywhere. Pretend this is the first time and enjoy that process. Celebrate the fact that you get to do it again and you're excited and you're happy, but those expectations lead to self-judgment, and it's usually negative. Just have fun. Just be thankful, I think is the advice I would offer. Last question today. I guess we know what I'm doing right after the show. Taking all my don't get sick stuff. What is the worst thing a beginner in the martial arts could do? Almost the same answer. Try not to have expectations. When you have expectations and they're not met, it makes people sad. In fact, this is a pretty big principle in Buddhism, that unmet expectations are the root of pain. So when you go in, when you start martial arts, what are you expecting? Well, some people expect to become the next, celebrity actor or martial artist. It's not going to happen. Some people expect they're going to be the next, great fighter. Also probably not going to happen. So what is going to happen? You're going to learn things. Some of them will be hard. Some of them will be easier. And it's through that process, that refinement, that you are becoming a martial artist. You're becoming a better version of yourself. And it's that struggle that makes what we do worthwhile. If it was easy, there wouldn't be a point. My definition of martial arts, personal development from the perspective of hand-to-hand combat. Well, the personal development part comes from the challenge. You can't have that growth without it being tough. Otherwise, it's just... If you've ever seen The Matrix, where Neo essentially downloads knowledge of martial arts. He learns them. But it doesn't change who he is. He doesn't become the one until much later in the movie, as he's struggling, as things aren't going well, as he needs to persevere. And I think we forget that it's the challenge that makes us happy. It's the challenge that gives us purpose, whether we're talking about martial arts or anything else. And I think instinctively we are drawn to things that are challenging. If you've ever been a video gamer, why are there different difficulty levels? because we want to get better at things. We want to have new and increasing challenges. If you follow most people's careers, they tend to end up in more challenging jobs as their experience and skills grow. That's life. I don't want to say that's the point of life, but that's an important framework of life, is that as we go and as we get better, we find new challenges to overcome to give our lives meaning. So when you step into martial arts and you're looking at what's going on, it's about finding meaning through the challenge. So on those days when you come home and you're frustrated because something's not going right, or just whatever those expectations you had weren't met, recognize that this is the whole purpose. This is what makes martial arts worthwhile. This is why it's worth your time and your money and your bruises. So don't forget that. The worst thing a beginner martial artist can do is forget that it's about the challenge. It's not about the punch. It's not about the kick. It's not about the jump or the whatever. It's about the growth that comes from the fact that it's challenging. Kind of wish I'd recorded that part. Well, I guess I did. Because I feel like I expressed that in a way that I haven't before. And I think I did it in a better way than I've done it before. What else can I throw at you before we go? Recording some content for Patreon supporters later today. If you want to support all the work that we're doing at Whistlekick, patreon.com/whistlekick. Or you can, buy a thing. Or you can leave a question, or a review, or share something. We're growing all the time, and it's because people are appreciative of what we do, and they're helping us out, and that means a lot to me. What else? I think that's it. I'm not gonna keep going for the sake of keeping going. So, homework in a moment. Don't forget, every 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, weekday. Wow, that's a weird way. We do this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, here only on YouTube, but you can catch it later in your podcast feed or at firstcupwithjeremy.com. Go check out today's episode of Martial Arts Radio. Make sure you're subscribed there. That's available all over the place. If you have a guest or a topic or anything, and you want to email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. Follow us on social media. Check out the newsletter. We do a ton of stuff, and it's all for you, the traditional martial artist. And I hope that you enjoy the things that we make and do. And there's more coming. There's so much more coming. You don't even understand how much more is coming. All right, here's your homework. Challenges, personal challenges. I want you to think back to something that happened in your life that was challenging and how it made you better. And I just want you to spend a couple minutes reflecting on that improvement. Maybe it was a personal relationship. Maybe it was a particular time in your martial arts training. Maybe it was something in your profession. It's from these challenges that we get better. But we need to remember the challenges. We need to honor the work that we've put in for ourselves. So take a couple minutes and do that. Drop me some questions for tomorrow. I'll see you back here tomorrow for Friday. I hope you have a great day. Take care. Peace.